be quick to make a decision. There is something to be said in this market of making a decision and getting an offer in quickly besides waiting overnight to do it.
Welcome to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owner Association, providing benefits and services to real estate investors and rental property owners for over 48 years. With your host, Brian Hamrick from Hamrick Investment Group.
This episode is sponsored by Green Property Management, managing everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area. Find out more at greenpropertymgt.com. Hello and welcome to episode 85. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Joshua Schaub back to the show. When he was here last year, we discussed his high-end student housing rental portfolio and his experience as a real estate investor. Well, Joshua is also the owner and broker of Icon Realty Group, and I've invited him back to take a deeper dive into the art of buying and selling real estate, especially in today's market, where having the right type of knowledge and experience on your team can make the difference between getting your offer accepted or being outbid, or selling your property at the highest price possible versus getting lowballed by non-serious buyers. Joshua, thanks for being back on the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Last time you were here, you told us all about your rental property and your high-end student housing properties. And for those of you who haven't listened to that, that was episode 56 with Joshua Schaub. Today, we're going to talk about the art of buying and selling. Before we get into that, just give us a brief recap of who you are and what you're all about.
Sure, sounds good. Originally, I'm from Northern Michigan. I grew up there on a dairy farm, and how I ended up in Grand Rapids was probably like a lot of people. I went here to school. So I went to Grand Valley, graduated in 2008, and after I graduated, I needed a place to stay. And so I was looking around at renting places, and I also noticed that for a really low price, I could possibly buy a home. So kind of long story short, I bought a duplex, fixed that up, and rented it downstairs while also renting the upstairs to a roommate of mine. This was before it was called house hacking. I had no idea even what that was. It just seemed to make sense because I was this college kid just getting done, trying to live on a shoestring budget, make everything work.
Yeah, it's the best way to get into real estate, in my opinion. If you're young and you don't mind having roommates or having someone living next door to you, house hacking is the way to go.
I totally agree. I mean, I thought it was great. We had a lot of great roommates, a lot of great tenants in that duplex over the years. I had a lot of fun. You know, at that age, it was just nice to have some roommates and friends around, and everyone tended to be around the same age as me, and you just got some buddies to live below you or with you, and it was fun. So
by the way, you don't have to be young to do it. I mean, you can do it at any age,
yep.
But the younger people seem to do it more often.
You can put up with the roommates a little better sometimes. Yeah. Bought my first home in 2008 there, and then in 2009, I decided to get my real estate license. A big part of that had to do with really was agents not letting me in or responding back to me because I was looking at like the lowest low end of homes here. So, $10,000 to $20,000 homes is kind of where I was first attracted to. It turns out in the long run, that wasn't the best choice, but I wasn't having anybody respond back, no agents coming out. So I was just like, you know what? I can save a little money. I know they make some commission on this. At the same time, I can gain access to these properties. And so got my real estate license more for that fact than anything else. I wasn't thinking of that as my full-time job or anything. But over the years, business kept picking up. People would come to me and ask me about, can you give me advice on, I'm thinking about doing an investment property, or I'm thinking of buying a first time home, and what do you think I could get for rent? Or, what do you think a couple roommates would be able to pay? Or what do you think about fixing this up compared to that? And so I gave advice, and by 2014, I was pretty busy. I was working still full-time, but then part-time, I was pretty much full-time trying to just do real estate and stay busy in that. So in 2015, I took over as the broker of Icon Realty, and we've been running ever since. And that's kind of why I'm here now today. So looking forward, I've built up a team of 3 realtors. I have a transaction coordinator on my team as well, just to kind of make the process easier and make sure we don't miss any details for anybody. And loving it ever since.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to talk about buyers and sellers and you know what you have seen out there in the market and how you help them. Why don't we start with, and I know you came prepared.
Yes, I did.
Why don't we start with, you've got 7 tips for buyers.
Yes.
So if you're looking to buy property, whether it be a home for yourself or rental property in today's market, here are 7 tips from an expert.
Yes. So I would apply these for myself if I'm looking to get a property or if I'm just looking for a home for myself. So, these would be the main 7 tips that I really want to hammer home with you when you're in this market. This market right here in Grand Rapids is a seller's market. So if there's a nice home that comes up for sale, usually there's multiple offers or someone might hold an offer to review offers for a couple days. What can you do?
And by the way, we're talking right now in August of 2017.
Yes. Yep.
So if you're listening to this and it's 2020, it's probably a completely different market.
Probably flip the script by then.
Yeah, call Joshua to get an update.
Exactly. This might be a little dated by that point, but yes. So first thing I would say for buyers is make sure you have your pre-approval letter ready. And that wouldn't be just a matter of going online and filling out, something on some website from, let's just say Quicken Loans or something, typing in a little bit of information and it's spitting out a pre-approval. I would actually say you talk to a local lender, bring in those pay stubs, bring in those bank statements, bring in your tax returns, have everything verified. Because when I go to make that offer, I'm going to actually call the agent, let them know that, this pre-approval is not just some flimsy thing out of nowhere. This is something that is going to be solid. It's been basically pre-qualified is what it would be considered. And I even sometimes go a step further and have the lender call the agent just to let them know.
The selling agent,
the listing agent, to say, hey, this person is good. You're not going to have any problems. The possibility of this falling through is almost zero. It's looking very good on this end. It's not a matter of they have some pre-approval, you decide to go with it, and then it's a matter of, oh, by the way, we didn't really verify everything and they're not qualified to that amount. So the first step would definitely be get pre-approved.
So you feel that having a local lender where you're actually dealing with a person at the bank or whatever lending institution it is better. You can't get that same thing from Quicken Loans? Not
necessarily. I find that having somebody that is in another state, in another far county away, another city where their reputation's not on the line, you tend not to get as great of customer service. They tend not to respond back as quickly when you need them to, because it's just a matter of there's numbers. They're high volume. When you have someone local at your Lake Michigan Credit Union, you got someone local at some private financing company, their reputation's on the line. Other agents have heard of them before, and that really does make a big difference of having someone local.
You're going to get the personal touch.
Exactly. So that would be my first step for you guys. Number 2, get specific as a buyer on what you're looking for. What neighborhoods do you want to target? What size and type of home? So, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms. What kind of amenities? Do you want to be in a community where you have a community pool, and you don't have to pay for mowing the grass? Or do you want to be somewhere that's in the city where you have a 2-stall garage or a 1-stall garage, or does that not matter to you? Get specific, because that's something that your agent can really see when they're doing the search for you, and really point you towards the right house right away.
And as an agent and a broker, is that something you help your clients with?
We do. So we can actually, and I'll touch on this a little bit later, we can set up a customized search for you, matching everything you're looking for. But it's good to have an idea. I know for especially first-time home buyers, it's hard to know exactly where you want to be, but drive around, get a feel for the neighborhoods, get a feel for restaurants or where you see yourself at a lot. If you want to go to these shops, or you see yourself walking around a park or something of that sort, focus on those areas. So I would do that. And then the other thing is, if there's certain things you would like in a home, I say make me a list of the must-haves and the would be nice to have. Because if I have to have a nicely renovated kitchen in this home, then when I look through pictures on something for you, I will toss out the ones that are not redone. If it's I need to have a master on the main floor, or I need to have this extra space in the basement so I can do a business or my craft or hobby down there, then we will make sure that, there's enough space down there. Otherwise, we'll throw those ones out for you. So make a very specific list of where you want to be, because that only helps your agent and you just not to waste time. When the right one comes up, we know to strike and get out there right away. Tip number 3. This is kind of a plug for myself, but find a good realtor that fits what you're looking for. So, and it's a person that really fits well with you, because everyone has a different personality. So some good questions to ask that realtor would be, what's your experience? Because I've ran into a lot of people lately that have been getting into real estate, but they don't have that same experience as someone that may have been doing it for 5, 10, 20 years. Sometimes they can't navigate those waters. So make sure you know that this is somebody that's been experienced and have been doing this for a while. They've been through maybe a few tough deals, and so they can give you some guidance when those might come up again. Another thing I would say is, do you work alone or do you work as a team? Because the team concept is really catching on, where a handful of agents will work together. And so if if one person's busy and they can't do the showing that evening, another agent picks up the slack and can do it for you. So that way you don't miss out on a potential deal. Another thing is, how do we keep in contact? And this is kind of something that people don't think of, but some agents like to keep in contact just calling you or stopping by to sign papers. Other ones only do email. Some other ones do text. What do you prefer? Are you a person that just likes to email back and forth and it sits on your computer and sends it out and you can put all your details in there and not miss a detail? Or is it a matter of you like to talk on the phone for a while? Find someone that meshes with you. Like myself personally, I don't mind talking to people on the phone, but it's a lot easier through email, so I don't miss details of what they're trying to spell out for me.
Yeah, I'm an email person myself, because then you have it in writing.
Exactly. And you can go back and, okay, I might have forgot, let's double check and make sure.
Yeah, let's see what we really said. And it's a great way to keep track of conversations. And when it comes to texting, I know people love to text, but I never text. Or I guess I do more now because I don't have a choice. But
yep.
I will see my emails long before I ever see my texts.
Me as well. I would probably say that's my least preferred method, just because it's just not something I'm always looking at. Email is always in front of me. So, and then the final point I would say is just ask for references. Make sure that they have a bunch of satisfied clients. An easy way to do that, first of all, would be to ask them. They should have a sheet of references and numbers and people they've worked with before. Or a popular way to go would be jump on Zillow or Trulia, do a little background research on that agent, and there should be, a handful of good reviews on there, and it actually shows you the average.
Oh, you can see agent reviews?
You can, yeah.
Really?
So it's kind of like a Yelp for real estate agents, how everyone's rated, what kind of they specialize in. You can see their past sales.
So what's your rating?
Oh man, no, I'm just kidding. It's actually 5 out of 5, so we're still doing good. Okay. But no, so it's just an easy way to do a little background research before you even call somebody. So, and now going to point number 4. And this kind of piggybacks off that realtor question, but find a good realtor that has good contacts as well, because it's important to have a good team of other vendors in place for you that they've worked with and everything's gone smooth. So that would be your title or your closing company, what people would refer to. Another thing would be your lender, because that can really make the experience really fun and enjoyable, or a real headache depending on who you choose there. And then a couple other things would be inspection company and a company that does surveys for you. That's just kind of your due diligence. But having someone that has worked with companies before that do a good job, that's really important to have that team in place.
Yeah, and I always find that if you're inexperienced in buying, whether it be a home or rental property, it helps to have a good realtor or broker who can hold your hand through the process and say, here, we're going to call this person to make sure this gets done.
Exactly.
Because if you've never done it before, or you're just not that experienced at it, there are so many things you would not even know that you have to do.
Exactly. There is so many steps that you don't know. And it's the unknown, out there that when I meet with people, I try to spell those steps out as easily as possible, but there's a lot to do.
It's a lot of information coming all at once.
Yep.
And you can spell it out, but
it just it's too much.
In one ear and out the other.
Yeah, it's too much. You're taking it one day by day, step by step, every chunk of the process. And yeah, it's hard when you just don't know what to expect. So yeah, for inspections, we have a good group that we recommend, and we've been working with them for years. Sometimes, an inspector is a realtor's maybe not best friend, but overall they really will shoot straight with you. And I respect that from a lot of inspectors of, if it was me, I wouldn't have my client buy this home. Okay, I'll take that and I will let them know and we'll back out. Really important to have that relationship with people that will do a good job and not just try to pass it through.
I'd like to take a moment to tell you about Green Property Management. Not only do they manage everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area, they also manage my entire portfolio. So I can tell you from personal experience that their unique flat fee management style is worth a closer look. If you feel that your property isn't operating to its fullest potential, then Green Property Management can help you take a holistic approach that will save you money, eliminate your headaches, and increase your net income. And if you're a property manager interested in applying Green Property Management's model, give them a call at 1-866-95-GREEN or visit them on the web at greenpropertymgt.com.
Going on to point number 5, have your realtor create that personalized search. So I kind of touched on that we can create that for you. As realtors, we use the MLS, which stands for the Multiple Listing Service. That is our software. When a home comes on the market from another agent, we're alerted. And so what we can do is we can actually set our clients up with that same personalized search. And that's why figuring out what your criteria is and being specific about it comes back into play, is because I can pick specifically streets. And I can just draw lines and pick streets. I can sort by size of home, square footage, garage. Does it have a pool? Is it attached garage? Is it a 2-stall? Is it a condo? A lot of things that you look for. I can find that and drill down really deep on being very specific. So the more specific you are, the easier it is to find those homes. As soon as they come up, we're like, hey, this is everything you're looking for. And it's not you sorting through a bunch of homes that don't meet what you're looking for. And that's what, it's a faster process than what Zillow or Trulia, Realtor.com, maybe those third-party websites do. And this also sends it to you automatically as soon as it's listed. So there's no lag time where some of those I've seen go 12 or 24 hours before a listing comes up on those sites. That can make the difference. That really can make the difference of you,
especially in today's market.
Exactly.
The sooner you know about it, the sooner you can get in there, check it out, and make an offer on it.
Exactly. So that's really important. And another nice part of setting the search up that I think we go above and beyond on is that we actually set up searches on Zillow for our clients that email us, and we are searching through them every day for sale by owner homes, because the MLS does not pick up for sale by owner homes. But if someone,
Zillow does,
Zillow does, and that's where people will list it.
And Zillow does, because the for sale by owner our seller is intentionally putting it on Zillow.
Exactly. Yep. They're trying to save the listing commission side of that. And so I've actually been very successful on finding my clients homes that were for sale by owners. I would probably say 15 to 20% of my sales this year have been through for sale by owner homes.
Really?
And it's just a matter of something pops up. It meets what they're looking for.
So your buyer,
my buyer,
is working with a for sale by owner.
Yes. Yes.
Now, did you have a for sale by owner story that would?
I do, yes. So I actually last year, I was looking for homes for this client down in Allegan, and it was really slow going. I mean, there was just not anything popping up that was going to meet the criteria of what he was looking for. And we looked and looked and looked. And then I was like, you know what? This is kind of where it started. I was like, let's start looking these for sale by owners. And we found one that matched what he was looking for. We set up an appointment, went down there, met the guy, really nice seller, had the family down there, took those guys through, looked at it for about an hour, and we ended up buying that home. And they were super thrilled to find something that nice. The seller was really happy because he had already bought another home, but he just didn't want to pay the listing side of the commission. So I still got paid as a buyer's agent, but he still saved his 3% on the listing side. Everyone ended up happy. And that was just one example of, in a market that's scarce or there wasn't much there, it was a good price for the home. It was a solid home. It was just we weren't looking in the right place. And as soon as we started looking for sale by owners, one came up and worked out great. So that's just one example of, keeping your eye and keeping your pulse on that side of the market as well. Because if you're just casually scrolling through every other day and you don't have someone looking for you, you might miss a deal. They go quick. So we wrapped that one up in a matter of just one day.
So now Zillow is one of your tools in your arsenal.
Yes.
You're looking for a home for your buyer.
Yeah. So anything that goes up on Zillow or Trulia, we will be scanning those for sale by owners to match our buyers as well. So that's just another option that we have for you compared to just someone throwing it up on a search and that's it, and leaving it for you. So we're actively looking all the time, which is really nice for our clients. And now another tip number 6, I would say would be, once you have this all down, once you got a little bit of experience as a buyer, be quick to make a decision. I don't like to be a pushy realtor. I'm just not that kind of guy. I don't see myself as like the used car salesman that has to make the sale right now. But there is something to be said in this market of making a decision and getting an offer in quickly besides waiting overnight to do it, because I've had multiple times where we've waited overnight and then the next day another offer comes in and then it beats us. So that is one thing, is being quick to make a decision. And I do have a story on this one. Last year I had shown a client of mine multiple houses. We made 2 offers over asking price, and both were denied. And she wanted to be, she worked at Spectrum, so she wanted to be pretty close where she could ride a bike. So we were kind of on the fringes of Heritage Hill and kind of getting into Midtown area a little bit. And this house popped up and she had the day off. We were the first showing in there because it was occupied. We were the first showing in there. Absolutely loved it. We wrote an offer just slightly above asking price. And we had the whole deal negotiated and under contract in 5 hours.
Wow.
We had an accepted deal. And she was ecstatic. And there was a ton of people behind us trying to do showings.
Wow.
But the sellers didn't want to. The inconvenience of people coming through there all the time was just a big hassle to them. And so they said, hey, if you were going to give us even a little more than asking price, why do we want more? And they took it. So that was just a matter of being able to strike quickly.
Just because you were first.
Just because we were first.
Wow.
And so we try to do that as quick as possible. If they're not holding offers, where some agents might wait a couple days, we try to get in there right away, write an offer, and let's see what happens. Let's put the pressure on the seller to give us an answer. So my final tip, number 7, would be do your due diligence. And I do a lot of this myself as the realtor walking through with you. I kind of consider this maybe a little bit more of my specialty, as well as because I've done construction projects, I've done rehabs, I've done flips. I know what your maintenance and repairs might be coming up. I look for issues like roofs or leaks or how old furnaces and water heaters are. I'm looking for things that might be something that could nickel and dime you as a homeowner and cost you in repairs that you're not thinking of. And so I like to point that out, but then also we get a certified inspector through there to go through with you. I always recommend you get a survey. If you're buying a home, I have no idea why you wouldn't want to spend $300 to $400 on a survey to verify what the piece of land you're buying is actually your piece of land. I've made that mistake myself with an investment property where I bought a piece of land and I was short like 6 feet of what I thought I had, and that was where the driveway was. So then it was a whole nother hassle of trying to get the neighbor to deed me a little strip of land because we've been there forever anyway. Don't make those mistakes. So do that, and then we order title work just to make sure that everything's certified through the deeds and the mortgages and the transfer there. So
the due diligence from the first walkthrough, where
yes.
you're looking and seeing things, or your other real estate agents are looking and seeing things.
Yes.
All the way through the survey, the title work, the home inspection. Those are all things that you're able to help with.
Exactly. Yep. We will help you with that. And then the very important part, and this is something that might get overlooked by a handful of agents, would be make sure you do your final walkthrough, because you are entitled to do a final walkthrough. And especially if there is someone living there and especially if they agree to do repairs. It's very important. And
the final walkthrough is just before you close.
Yes, usually
walk through the property and make sure everything is still there.
Everything's perfect. Everything's in the same condition. What they agreed to leave is indeed there. I usually do it the day before closing or closing day, depending on the time. But it's important you go through because you don't want any surprises at closing.
Do you have any stories of surprises?
I do. So I actually heard a story where these sellers sell the house and they agree to fix the windows, to put in new carpet. They're leaving the appliances and a few other minor detail things. Well, they move out. Buyer signs the paperwork. They close. These sellers had 14 days to be moved out of possession time. They move out. The new buyer moves in, and none of the work was done. Like, it was probably in worse shape than when it started. They actually, a couple spots, the windows just had insulation in them instead of like being fixed with like plastic or anything. And the appliances were gone, and everything that they agreed to was not done. And so the buyer was trying to figure out what kind of recourse they could get for it. And turns out when you sign at closing, you sign as is condition. And even though that it was agreed to in the contract, the as is condition would supersede in court. And so, he talked to a lawyer, tried to get this all figured out, but there was just nothing he can do. And he was out, probably $10,000 or more of just repairs that were supposed to be done, appliances that were supposed to be there, and they were now gone. Just absolutely gone. So it's very important you do that final walkthrough.
It's important that the buyer realize that he or she needs to verify that everything that was agreed to has been accomplished. How do you? So obviously that's a terrible situation to be in. But a lot of times when you buy a property, the previous owners might do a lease back where they stay. In this case, they stayed there for an extra 2 weeks or whatever. But you're closing, and then they're staying there 2 weeks after that. Is it just contractually you would protect yourself by saying, well, before closing, these things need to be done?
Exactly. So I would, if I was in that situation and I was representing that buyer and we went through that final walkthrough and those things were not done, I would have not have let him close on the house. I just would have said, no, you can't purchase this home until these repairs are done. Now, you probably wouldn't have known they were going to take the appliances with them or anything like that. But there was a lot of other things that were supposed to be done and they just weren't. And so while I'm a very trusting guy, and I think 99% of people and sellers are going to do the right thing and leave the home in nice condition, you just don't want to be that person that ends up on the 1% side in a bad spot. And I'd hate to see my client in that spot too. It'd tear me apart. It would just be super difficult for them. You're trying to do the best job you can for them, and then they end up in a much worse situation.
Yeah. And I suppose as far as the appliances are concerned, you could show up on moving day and sit on the washer and dryer.
Exactly.
Make sure they're not moved out of the house.
Just watch them move out and make sure everything stays as it's supposed to stay. So
you might sometimes, if you don't trust the sellers, you might have to take it that far.
Exactly. So it's very important just to do your due diligence and then be protected. Definitely be protected by that final walkthrough. So now, kind of shifting gears, going into sellers, I did come up with 5 tips for the sellers because it is a seller's market here in Grand Rapids. Really, really great opportunity to sell your home for a good price, but you can't just throw it up there and just hope for the best. You really need to do some work to get that top dollar for your home. So my tip number 1 would be pricing your home correctly. Now, this is a mistake that I see a lot by the for sale by owners. They throw up, like on Zillow, there's like a make me move option and they throw some insane price up there. That never works. Those homes stay on there forever. It becomes a stale listing. You don't want that, especially when you go to list it on the MLS software as a realtor. You want to hit market price. You want to hit a price that's reasonable and attainable, because if the market was a pyramid and the pyramid represented 100% of the buyers in that market in your price range that could afford your home, and you list your home for the proper price, about 60% of those buyers would be attracted to it. the other 40, maybe it's just not the right place or style or something for them, but about 60%. Now, if you over listed it by 10%, you went 10% above the market price, that significantly cuts that down to only 30% of buyers. And if you upped that to 15% above the market price, so 5% more, that would cut it down to only 10% of available buyers. If you do that, you really shoot yourself in the foot because you don't have any interest. People aren't coming through. And then, like I said, that listing goes stale and people start to wonder, what's wrong with the home? Why has it been sitting so long?
Right.
And so,
and you see that even in today's market, you see homes that are just sitting there.
Yep.
And usually it's because they're just overpriced.
They are.
But if I'm a seller and I'm selling it for sale by owner without a realtor, then how do I know what the market price is?
That's always the difficult part. That's I've seen a lot of times where they underprice homes significantly and someone comes in and buys it. I would say the best way is what we do is we look for comparable sales. So sold homes, I would recommend you get a realtor because they're going to protect you to make sure you get the best price for your home. But if you want to go it alone, you just have to be really detailed on finding out what are comparable homes, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, pretty much the same neighborhood. Sometimes, neighborhoods can change pretty quickly over time, but look at sold homes in the last 3 to 6 months. That'll give you a good idea of what your home's worth. And then don't try to tack on 10% on top of that or 15% on top of that.
Don't get greedy.
Don't get greedy because it's just going to sit. And then it becomes the opposite because then you get the tire kickers. That's really when you get the investors and the tire kickers come by and they start lowballing you and they just want to get a good deal.
Yeah, if your property's been sitting there for a while, no one's made an offer.
Yep.
Well, then that opens the door to the lowballers.
Exactly.
Because you might be desperate.
Yep. And that's what you're thinking. And honestly, that's what I do too. When I see homes are listed on the MLS or on Zillow for a long time, I'll go out there and just throw them a lowball offer and see, would you even be interested in entertaining this price? Mm-hmm. Maybe they will.
No one else wants your property.
Exactly.
I do.
Yep. I can make it work at this price. So that's one thing to just definitely keep in mind. List it for the right price. Don't get greedy because the market will choose what the market price is. If you set it a little low, a bunch of people are going to be interested. You're going to get multiple offers and they'll probably bid each other up. You set it too high, maybe eventually you'll get somebody, but they have no reason to offer you your asking price. They have no competition. So then you get an offer that's lower. It eventually sets to itself. So pick a good price, pick a market price, pick that recommended price by your realtor. The next thing I would say is marketing your home properly. And this is the one that really, it gets me sometimes when I see these listings where someone comes through and they take pictures and there's only 5 pictures and they took it on their iPhone. And I'm like, you're selling a $200,000 home and you're giving me some pictures that are blurry and grainy and I can't even see everything. Everything's cut off. So if you're going to market your property, market it properly. We hire a professional photographer to come through, do photos. They also do a virtual tour. So they set up these cameras that do 360 photos. So potential buyers can actually click on it and see the whole floor plan and walk through the whole home virtually. It's really, really cool feature. And that's kind of nice for us too, because it weeds out people that don't like the floor plan. You can see it and you're like, nah, this isn't the right one for me. We get more interested buyers that have already seen the layout of the home. So you got basically more quality potential buyer that's coming in.
Yeah, I love the 3D tour. We've done that on one of our multifamilies. So one of our apartment buildings, we have a 3D tour of some of the units, the different unit layouts, and it's I just love it. I think it's great technology. It really helps sell. But I would imagine, how much does it cost if you're going to? Obviously, professional photos, you're going to pay $100, $200 for a good photographer.
Yep.
You're going to get like 20 great photos of your property or more or less.
Whatever. Yeah, somewhere 20 to 25 is about what you end up with.
Yeah, but that is, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
you do it.
It's well worth the money.
What does the 3D tour typically cost, and who's paying that?
So the realtor will pay for all that. So that's our cost to listing your property. So that's our expense for you. Those 3D tours range between $300 to $400. You also can do, I'm sure you've seen these too. You can do like drones. and they can do a whole shot of everything.
I've done drone footage before. That's spectacular.
Yep. And then we get a little bit of a deal because we roll them all together. So we have a photographer that does it on margin, basically. He does all my listings. He does them for my team. So he'll give us a little bit of a discount for doing the photos and the 3D tour, and then also gives us a little bit of a discount for doing the drone shots if it makes sense, so
you could do the whole package if you want.
Yep.
Yeah, I spent $1,000. I had a multifamily apartment investment that I wanted to get investors into, and I spent $1,000 on drone footage. And boy, I mean, that really just made the property and the investment come to life.
I believe it. It attracts good people. It attracts potential buyers for you, potential renters, and it just gives you that much more exposure. And that's the thing. Have you ever gone into a home and you're like, wow, this is not what the photos showed to me. This home is not to the same quality. Well, I kind of think that's a good thing, because that means the marketing was really good. They did a really good job taking those photos. And so you never know, you bring in people in and you have a good quality product and you have good exposure on the market. You're doing a good job when the photos really just represent the home really well. So don't cheap out on the photos. Don't cheap out on the marketing, because doing it right, attracting those people can go a long ways towards, you never know, someone that maybe wasn't going to see it goes and sees it and becomes the person that makes the offer, or they have someone that's a parent or a cousin or someone in the family, or even a friend that, okay, no, I don't think this will work for me, but that might work for them. The more people you get through that home, the better. And that's
and marketing is meant to manipulate people.
Yeah.
In a good way, in that it pushes people to say, yes, I want to see this home, when otherwise they might just be like, I don't know, I'm not, we'll see.
Exactly. You want the attractiveness.
Marketing makes them say, yes, I want to see that now.
Exactly. Yep. And that's what we try to do with everything. We try to pull people through, because it's important to just market that home properly. The next thing would be put it on the MLS, because the MLS has all these agents who have all these ready and willing buyers that are set up with searches, that when your property comes up and they're looking at that property and that size and that price range, everyone gets alerted. They have these searches set up for their clients. Everyone gets alerted. So you are opening yourself up to just a ton of potential buyers that will see your home. I mean, you can put it on Zillow, but that exposure is way lower than if you put it on the MLS, because there is a lot more people and a lot more screened potential ready and willing buyers out there waiting for that home to come up. So that would be another thing when you're doing a home.
Screened and qualified buyers.
Yeah, because if you're working with like an agent like me, I'm making sure my buyers are pre-approved. I'm making sure that, they're really willing to go out there and buy a home that they need to. You're doing all that background. So now you're sending it to all these people that would be qualified to buy your home. Next thing I would say would be, that and part of marketing is we put it on a bunch of third-party websites as well. So we do the Zillow, we do the Trulia, we do Realtor.com, Craigslist, our Icon Realty website, just through like SEO, so search engine optimization. Other third-party websites pick up on our listings as well. So really within about 24 hours, your listing after you list with us is about 100 plus syndicate websites, third-party websites. I mean, it's just all over the internet. So someone drives by your property, types in your address, they're going to find it somewhere.
So with all that exposure that you're getting, where do most of your buyers come from?
I would still say a lot of them come from the MLS. A lot of the buyers come from the MLS. It's every once in a while we do have people that are on the third-party websites that reach out to us, but that's probably only 10% of people that actually buy the home, because the big problem there is they're just not as qualified. A lot of them are through other agents that are on the MLS already. So that's just a big key. And then another step that we go above and beyond is we try to do social media marketing. So you can actually focus on, let's say you have a listing in East Grand Rapids, nicer neighborhood, you would have to be probably a little bit higher of an earner, and we can pick and choose. Our marketing dollars go towards behaviors, so people that are likely to move, people that are in a certain salary or price range of income, we can search and market just to those people. So it's totally different if I'm marketing a home here in East Grand Rapids versus, let's say, a home on the west side. Two different price ranges, two different types of buyers. I'm looking for someone probably more established here in a different age demographic than I'm looking over there. It's probably a first-time home buyer. So we try to use our social media platform to target those people and have paid ads marketing your property to people that would be most likely interested in your home. And that's been, again, pretty successful. And that would probably include that with our, our third-party websites is we do get every once in a while some buyers through there that do buy the home. It's just a matter of, making sure they're qualified. And that's always the issue. Where you're working with a realtor, they're already qualified. So,
yeah.
And then we do the traditional marketing. We'll throw a sign in the yard. Sometimes we do the just listed mailers to the neighborhood. So we'll mail the closest 100 homes. And then we always hold an open house, which is really nice because sometimes people just want to go through and they don't want to bring their agent on a Saturday afternoon. And we give them that option as well. So that's a really nice option to have there.
Yeah. Now, I've heard a lot of agents say open houses are a waste of time, but you don't feel that way, huh?
I don't feel that way. I feel like you're doing your seller a service, having those 2 hours or so on a Saturday or Sunday where all potential buyers can come through and take a look. Maybe you get a nosy neighbor, but you might get someone that's really interested, and you got to do the best you can for your client. Don't leave any stone unturned, I would say. Make sure that every potential possible person that could come through there, they do. And that's one of the nice things of the open house is they can just go through and there's no pressure. Take a look around. If you like it, you can get more information. If not, that's okay. You get to spend 15 minutes looking at home. So
I love it when my neighbors have open houses.
Yeah, swing by and take a look.
I can go be a nosy neighbor.
I did too. My neighbor, just a few weeks ago, they posted their home for sale, and I took a look through there too. And I was just like, well, it doesn't. I like the look. Like
I'm a realtor, right?
Exactly.
I might have clients.
A lot of fun, yeah. And they're like, oh, are you interested? Well, not really, but thanks for showing me, kind of thing. So. Another tip, going into tip number 3 here, curb appeal and staging. So I would always say first impression is very important. You've heard that from, who knows how old I was when I was saying, that first impression is really important of people. The first impression you get when you see the outside of a home is important. So I always encourage you landscape, put down some new mulch, maybe plant some new flowers or put some potters out there, whatever. Kill the dead bushes, take those out, make it look nice. People think you take good care of your home when they see the outside's all well done. And then the very first impression when they walk inside as well, you want to have it really nice. That first step in the door, that really makes a big difference in the client's mind. And I always recommend when you're going to go through your home, try to take a little bit of that clutter out of it and try to depersonalize it. If you have pictures of your family sitting on that mantle, and that's the first thing people see when they walk in the home, they feel like they're in someone else's home, and they're not feeling like they're going to be in their own home. They can't see themselves in it when you're in someone else's. And so
that's important.
Yeah. So take some of those things away, kind of take away what your, tastes and personality might be for a few months or a few weeks, take it off the walls and just kind of keep it away for a little while.
Yeah. When my wife and I sold our last home, years ago, we rented a storage unit.
That's a smart idea.
Moved boxes and boxes and furniture into a storage unit for about 3 months, just to declutter.
It's a great way to make the space feel bigger. It's a great way to just attract those potential buyers. And a lot of people do storage units. I know those pods are kind of becoming more popular where they can pick them. It's a storage unit that's mobile. They can pick them up and take them away. And other people, if they have room in their basement, they just get those tote bins and pack it full of stuff and try to move stuff in the basement, because people can kind of overlook clutter in the basement in a corner compared to all throughout a home. So if worse comes to worse and you can't afford a storage unit, put it down in the basement, pack it in a corner. People can kind of overlook that better than all throughout sprinkled out your house. My point number 4, just be flexible on your showing. We use a app called Showing Time. It's really nice. It's the third party that gives the control to the seller. So there's no delay really, and I don't have to play this game of telephone like we used to have to play. The moment an agent requests a showing, you can get an email, a text, or a phone call. And then you can say, yes, I accept that time. We can be out by that time, or that works. I'm already at work or something. Or you can say no and give them a reason why and give them a time to reschedule, which is really nice because sometimes you get these agents that come in and they request a showing like an hour before. And if there's a lag time between me seeing that and conveying that to my seller, you can miss out on somebody potentially.
So you don't have to be the bottleneck between
exactly
the seller and the showing.
Exactly. And we just actually got a home under contract that I had listed from a person that requested the showing 45 minutes before. And we got them through because we used that application and the seller was very, very flexible. That's just an opportunity for us to speed up the process and not miss out. So that's one thing I would say has definitely been a big help to us. And then point number 5 is branding your home. So what I mean by that is each home is unique. Like Brian, you moved into your home because it had certain features that attracted you to it. I always recommend to people, write a little letter, leave it there, because I'll have information at the counter when people come through for a showing anyways, and tell them, what do you like about your home? What do they not know? Is there a park right around the corner? Is there a community pool that you can share? Is there something unique about your home that attracted you to it? Write out those key points because they might not be aware, and there might be, wow, that's a great idea.
Things
I didn't know.
Might seem obvious to the seller are not so obvious to other people.
They could have taken a different road to get here to the showing and head back down that same way and never pass that really nice area or strip mall or new restaurant and not even be aware of it. So write that nice letter, brand your home, and just basically leave a good impression with the buyer. Let them know why you love that area and what's important to your home to you and why, it can be important to them too. So that would probably be my final tip of just, set that stage and brand your home properly.
Good advice. So you've got some stories here.
Yeah. So I have just a couple stories here of what's kind of important and kind of what can give you the edge when you're buying or selling real estate. And hopefully, you're interested in working with an agent. One example would be on the Northwest side. I had a client that was an investor and we made an offer on this home and it was a cash offer, which was nice. And we went to closing and the agent and the seller said when we were sitting there, because it's a cash closing, so you split you do it at the same title company that the seller picks. And they just happened to want to sign with us. Essentially, they were this older gentleman, and it was really interesting. They told us that they picked their offer, first of all, because the agent recommended working with me because she heard good things about that I was just an easygoing agent. And the other part was that, it was a cash offer and it made it smooth and clean, but they just got a good vibe from us talking to them on the phone. And they turned down significantly higher offers because they felt that we that the company was had a good reputation, and we projected that the buyer was, he was a really good buyer who really wanted to take care of the home and fix it up and make it nice. And that was the difference. That was really the edge that made them pick us over more money. And the closing wasn't really any faster. Usually, cash closings can close a lot quicker. The person was living there, so they needed to move out anyway. But that was just one nice thing I was like, wow, that's really nice. I'm glad that,
you projected confidence.
Yeah.
You had confidence in your client.
I did.
They had confidence that the property would actually sell as it was agreed to be sold.
Yep. And the agent was very helpful relaying that message because she heard some good things about me as well. So that was really nice. And another example, as you know, I like to do investment properties. So I try to pass my knowledge off to other clients that come in and looking to do the same thing as me. How do I get started, Joshua? How do I, and we talked about that at the very beginning. House hacking is very, very, I would probably say the most recommended way to get started. It's a way you can live for free or even make a little bit of money while you save up to buy that next rental property or make your jump to that next home. And I had a client that he just bought a home a couple weeks ago. And afterwards, we sat down for probably 45 minutes to an hour, and he just picked my brain on, can you help me find a good place to get a lease? And obviously the RPOA is there's a nice plug right there for you guys, a very good resource to help you get all the forms, the documents, how to screen tenants, the trainings.
Yeah, the RPOA has all that. RPOAonline.org. Check it out.
Yes. Yeah. Great resource. So I pointed him towards that, but also gave him advice on, when's a good time where you're going to have the most demand. how do you set your lease? What are some other things to put in that lease that protect you a little bit more than maybe just a basic lease? How do I screen for tenants? What am I looking for? He was new. He had a lot of questions, and he's like, thank you. He took a bunch of notes, and he contacts me every once in a while here and there about something else. I am happy to help. I am happy to help. But he got a really nice property. He's going to rent it out to some roommates, and he's just starting his journey. And he's a younger gentleman that I hope to see many years from now with multiple properties, And so that was a really nice story of just seeing someone finally get started.
Right.
You can still do it in this market. You don't have to sit on the sidelines. There is opportunity out there, and that was a good spot for him. And then my final example would be, this was a listing of mine, and I had a person reach out to me. He said he saw my profile on my website, and he just wanted to talk with me about possibly selling a home that he had a renter in. And he had the home listed for sale probably 5 or 6 months before our meeting, and it just expired. And he felt like, it was a decent price, and he didn't understand why it didn't sell. And he just kind of wanted to talk to a couple different agents and maybe see if he could relist it. And I gave him some advice of getting the renter out of there. And we talked about what the pros and cons of that would be, because you could miss out on potential rental income, but he really just wanted to be done being a landlord. And I gave him a lot of advice on just little touch-ups, little things he could do. We ended up listing that home for $7,000 more than what that other realtor had it listed as. We had multiple offers, and we ended up making him an $11,000 more than our list price when we sold it. So He was very happy.
He had it listed for less with a different broker and didn't get any offers. Was it just moving the tenant out, or was it cosmetic?
It was a lot of things together. So there was 2 doors. That this house was on a corner lot, and the other realtor had everyone going in this other door by a garage, and it was kind of a funny spot to come into the home. You didn't really realize where you were. There was some burnt out light bulbs. There was a couple rooms that had some weird colored paint that I said, for the time to do it and picking something neutral would be well worth your while to do those things. His basement was at the time older and had some signs of just a little bit of mildew down there. Got a dehumidifier down there, got some gutters on the house, got dry lock paint to keep that moisture out. That made it very nice and bright. We added some lights down in that basement area because it kind of felt scary going down there. And then there was a matter of steam cleaning carpets, just cleaning stuff up, and he did a really good job with the advice I gave him. And then the outside was really kind of overgrown, and he trimmed everything back up, planted a few things, and spent some money on mulch. I would say all in, he probably spent maybe $400 or $500 of materials, plus I think it was him and his wife did it over just a weekend. So like one Saturday and half a Sunday or something like that. And it turned out well worth their investment and their time. And so it was just a matter of, I went down there, met with him, spent an hour just giving him advice on what we can do before we even list it. Came back down again just to make sure everything was done. There was still a few more things that were missing that we changed again. And when we were ready to sell, this house was really, really nice. People loved it. And I was surprised it turned out as nice as it did. He did a great job. But just some tips and pointers that you can use just to kind of give you that listing edge of, and I look at things because I was a leasing agent for a little while, and I went through with tenants, and they would tell me what they didn't like about properties. And so I was taking those notes all over the years, and now I can apply those same issues or problems that they were running into and solving them when any potential seller comes through and we're doing a listing. So that's really nice that we can do that. And I enjoy it. I love seeing a home come back to life, and people really love it.
Yeah. And even in this market that we're in today, you still need to invest a little bit of time, a little bit of money into sprucing up your property.
Yes.
In order to get the best buyer and the best price.
Exactly. Don't be lazy and just assume that the market can carry it for you, because a little bit of work can go a long ways. A little bit of material and a little bit of time to clean and just make it nice will more than pay off when people walk through that. They just want to make sure you take care of that home and they're buying a home that's been well taken care of.
Yeah, it sends a signal.
Yes,
it sends
exactly.
a signal. I'm taking care of this house, and when you move into it, or this property, when you move into it, it'll be in good shape.
Exactly. I agree.
So given all of this, Joshua, the buying and selling tips, what does it cost for someone to work with you? I mean, there's got to be, how do you make your money in doing all this?
Yes. So if you are a buyer, it's technically free. Essentially, it's free. Every brokerage charges a brokerage fee, a brokerage admin fee. That is to store your file just in case you lose it down the road, and then also for compliance and just to audit it to make sure everything there is correct. That would range between $250 and maybe $350. Essentially, besides that, the seller is paying the commission for the buyer's agent. So I don't see why, if you're a buyer, why not work with an agent with experience on your side? Because I can more than make that money up pointing out potential pitfalls or through negotiation for you. So I think it's a no-brainer to work with an agent since it's free. On the seller side, the typical listing commission is 6%, and 3% of that is paid to the buyer's agent. And so what we'll spend there is, money on photos and marketing. There could be video. So it's a cost, but I think working with an agent, when you list it and you do the proper marketing, you can move your property quicker for sure. And I think you can definitely get your money back, because working with an agent on average can usually get you, I believe the number is 11% more than what you did if you did it alone.
So they've done studies on this.
Yeah.
If you're trying to sell it by yourself and save that 3% commission, you're getting 11% less than you would if you had used a broker.
Yep. The National Association of Realtors did a study, and so that's what they said on average. It can always vary, but and I could see that. I definitely could see that.
So your own personal experience bears that out.
Yes, definitely.
If I'm a buyer or a seller, what kind of contract do I have to sign with you? Okay. Is there an exclusive agreement or anything like that? That's
a good question too. So with buyers, typically you're going to run into where you're going to have a 6-month contract that you sign with your realtor. Now, I don't do contracts with buyers, and there's a reason for that, is because I don't want people to feel like they're forced to work with me. And if my service and my job is not doing a good enough job for you, just let me know and we can move on. But I have had nobody ever take me up on that offer once we started working together. So it's just a matter of, I don't want to lock you in and feel like I can give you less service then and you can't go anywhere else. I'm going to do my best job for you, and I'm going to prove it by not making you sign a contract. You want to work with me because you want to work with me and you feel like I'm doing a good job for you. Now, on the seller side, because there is costs, I do have them sign a contract. So there'll be typically a 6-month contract, because I do have to pay for getting that sign out there, doing mailers for you, taking pictures, doing that virtual tour. There's a cost to me. So I at least want to know I have a window of time to properly market your property. After that time goes by, we can always discuss things, but typically I don't run into that situation.
What is it that separates you from your competition?
Well, I would say the first thing that would probably separate me would be my experience in renovating homes. I do have a lot of experience of fixing these homes up, and for me, I've flipped them. I've kept them as investments, buys and holds. And what that means to you is I've seen these homes just gutted out, and I know what costs are currently for a lot of these homes. So I'm pointing out things like, hey, this electrical's old. This is a lot of electrical boxes. They're new breakers. They have the Romex. It goes into a junction box, and then it comes out as knob and tube, or it becomes older wire. And I'm like, I like to point those out to people that, hey, maybe your electrical is updated at the box, but not throughout the house. Be aware of these things. those are things that have burned me in the past. I like to point out what's maintenance, what's repairs that could be coming up for you, just so you have an idea of everything you're getting into. I like to disclose that, and then we do an inspection as well. But I think that experience really helps me on that point where we're walking through. And then on the flip side of that, I know what a good investment is. And I'm looking at home values, and I'm looking at neighborhoods, and I'm looking at what areas are hot. And I want to see my buyers buy in areas that I feel is going up at a good rate. Now, right now, West Michigan, all is going up, but what specific pockets would be a good investment for you? Where is their demand? And I'm aware of that, and I know where investors are buying, and that kind of is the first step to a neighborhood coming back. And I pass that information on to my buyers. So I would definitely say my experience. Probably point number 2 would be other agents and lenders like working with me. Sometimes that's really the difference in an offer. If all things are equal or close, sometimes agents will defer towards an agent they've worked with before that they know is easy to work with and does a good job, and that they have lenders that are easy to work with and don't squash a deal, and they know that their clients are qualified. So that would be another one. That point is an important one, because I've talked to other brokers and other people who know other brokers, and they're like, yeah, there are some realtors who just have terrible reputations. Yeah, it is.
There's plenty who have great reputations, but there's some who have terrible reputations.
Yep.
And if you have the wrong realtor and they have a bad reputation, you might find your offers aren't getting accepted.
Exactly. And they still sell homes, but behind the scenes, I mean, people just don't want to work with them, and that's one big thing, is you want to have a good reputation around town. I would probably say the final point for me would be I'm just a really good communicator with people, and I'm very detailed. So when you work with me or someone on my team, we have very good systems in place to let you know where we are in the process, what's the next step. Buying a home is a very big and complicated deal. It's a big investment as well, and you want to know what's going on. I don't want you worrying some night that you don't know what's happening next or what should I be doing. As soon as one step of the process gets done, my next email is an automatic follow-up of what to expect next. I update my clients once a week on where we stand on everything, just in case we haven't been communicating in between those times, and we're very detailed on.
Communicate by phone? You call them up and tell them?
I'm talking to them mostly through email. If it's a more detailed matter, we'll talk on the phone. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm staying on top of it. And I think I tend to skew towards over communication instead of under communication, which I never had anyone say that it's, stop bothering me so much. You do too good of a job. But
no one's taken out a order to
but I've definitely had it. Yeah, I've had it on the flip side where, people get worried when they don't hear anything from you for a little while. What's going on? I just want an update, and you won't have that problem. Communication is definitely key. And I'm up to date on the details. I'm letting you know where we are in the process and making sure everything goes smoothly. I'm trying to be the 2 steps ahead, making sure the next step's going to go smoothly before we run into that problem.
Now, I know Icon Realty, you're the broker and the owner.
Yes.
You have a team that you work with as well, right?
I do. So we have while we have agents, I have a specialized team of agents that I've trained personally that work with me. So there's 3 agents on our team. Each has a specialty, and then we have a transaction coordinator. So what you're going to get is specialized agents, some that can specialize in condos and have more experience in that, some that specialize in different neighborhoods and have experience in that, maybe even one that he specializes in commercial as well as residential. So if you are looking maybe for a property where it's mixed use, he can specialize in that for you. So we have a lot of people that have good specialties, and the nice part is that, like I mentioned before, if I'm busy or they're busy, we cover each other on showings just in case this market's crazy. If we need to get someone through there and they need to see a property and they need to make an offer, we can do that for you.
So you guys share a lot of the workload.
We do. Yep.
Yeah, and it sounds like, if someone wants to work with you in Icon Realty Group, you may not be the best person for them to work with on your team.
It's true. I'm very choosy on who it is. Everyone has to have the right strengths and fit in well with the team, be very detailed and organized. That's one of the keys. And then have the right personality. But I will also, I mean, if you're going to be on my team, I'm going to be walking you through my construction projects so you get that same experience that I have. I'm going to be pointing out what was behind those walls, other things that I've seen, so that you can look for those in these homes when you're walking through with clients. I'm going to have you shadow me on my listing appointments or my buyer appointments or even on showings, so you know how I talk to people and how the process is, and do we walk through the outside of the home or the inside first. Just kind of having a system down for everybody so that if you work with me or if you work with them, you're getting the same type of experience, you're getting the same type of excellence. We're going to do a good job for you either way, and you're not going to miss a beat. We're going to use the same systems for you. And then these people are well trained in the contracts, because we go over that a lot in detail to make sure we don't miss out on anything there. They know to do that final walkthrough with those clients, and negotiation. I mean, it all depends on getting a good read. You don't want to spend too much on a property. You want to get for the least amount possible. What questions do you ask that realtor, and how much can you push and how much can you pry to maybe get an answer of what price do I need to come in at? If I did this, would that work for your client? What's other little details that they really need that might separate our offer if it was the same price? Do they need more possession, less possession, close quicker? What's their situation? We are really trying to get all the details so that our offer looks the best when it's going in there. And so we want to have that edge for our clients as well.
So it sounds like the level of service that you get from Icon Realty Group is pretty consistent across the board.
It will be. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So you and your team, what are you seeing out there in the market right now? I know we started off this conversation. It's August 2017.
Yep.
It's a hot market, at least here in Grand Rapids, and really all over the country at this point.
It is.
What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, so the Grand Rapids / West Michigan market still really much a seller's market. And I believe it was the stats of Grand Rapids was 11% growth the last 2 years, like in the city, of appreciation. So it's just, I mean, those values are going up. But I see that starting to flatten a little bit. Not saying it's going to flatten out or even go down, but I'm saying
plateau.
I'm saying that growth might be more to the historical mean of maybe 3%, 4%, not 11%.
Yeah, if you're buying on speculation, thinking, well, values are just going to keep going up.
Yes.
Be careful.
Can't go this way forever. I really don't think it can go this way forever. And one big concern for me, and why I think this is going to be the case, is that the Fed is starting to raise those interest rates. And so that has a big effect on property values for a buyer and for a seller. So just, a quick example here. If you were going to buy, as a buyer, a $300,000 home, and there was a 1% change in interest rate, so it went from 4.5% to 5.5%, that'd be a difference of $147 more per month than your payment, just interest rate alone. And
just going up 1 point.
1 point, yep. And so then if you boiled that down to your first 15 years, that's $34,211 more you would be paying. So if you can keep it at those lower rates, that's going to make a big difference for you.
Yeah, and that'll have a big impact on both buyers and sellers.
Yeah, so on the sell side, now that eliminates the buying power of those potential buyers. So another example, if you were qualified to have a maximum principal and interest payment of $1,200 a month, at 4.5%, you could buy a $295,000 home. That's what you'd be pre-approved to. At 5.5%, you could only buy a $265,000 home. So $30,000 difference of buying power. So for sellers, if you're thinking of selling and you're seeing these interest rates go up, just look at that as taking away the potential buying power of these buyers, because they can't get loans that high based on what they make now. So it's just starting to eliminate and erode a little bit at your property value.
And that has ripple effects across everything. New construction, developers.
Yes.
That's an important point you're making there.
Yep. So keep your eyes on those interest rates. And like I said, I still think the market's going to be strong, but not to the same degree it was. I mean, that's just my opinion. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but
well, I agree. It'll be strong because the demand is there.
Yes.
I mean, the demographics are in place to keep it strong for a long time.
Yep.
But yeah, economically,
yes.
Will that demand be able to afford the supply, which it will ultimately drive down the prices.
It will
at some point.
Yeah, it can only last for so long. You can only keep this level of growth for so long, and I would love to be optimistic to say that it's going to continue, but I want to be realistic too on what I'm seeing, and so it's just a matter of eventually that's going to run out, and it's kind of powered by these low interest rates.
Yeah. It's like I remember Robert Kiyosaki said this before the bubble burst in 2007, 2008.
Yep.
He said everything that goes up has to come back down at some point.
Very true. Yeah. Very true.
Now, we're not predicting a crash here. We're not predicting it's going to come back down to 2009 levels. But
yes.
But it will, we're plateauing.
I can see that. Yes.
And it'll come down. Maybe it'll be softly. Maybe it'll be hard. But prices will come back down at some point.
Yep, that's just how the market operates. I mean, it's just, you can't have this forever. It's going to be a seller market for a little bit longer, and then it might flatten out and flip back to being a buyer market. And, that gives you a little bit more power on that side.
But we know it will. Everything is cyclical.
Just a matter of how long.
It will be a buyer's market again
Exactly.
someday.
Exactly.
It could be 10 years from now.
We just got to figure out when. That's when we can figure it out.
We're not going to predict when, but it will be a buyer's market.
It will be. It will be.
To be.
Yep.
Because it's always cyclical.
Yep.
So let's talk about the rental market then.
Okay.
How are your rentals doing?
So my personal rentals, I still think that market is strong as well. I know a lot of apartments have been being built in Grand Rapids. They're charging what I would consider pretty high prices for what they have out there. But my portfolio of single family homes and duplexes, I don't think has been really affected. We've raised our rents coming into this year anywhere between $25 to $75. We're not trying to go drastic, but we're just trying to up it a little bit more. And we had many of my properties were pre-leased about 5 months ahead of time, and I only had one vacancy this year, and that was more a matter of the bad tenants that were in the property. They were very, very dirty and messy. The home just couldn't show well with them in it, and as soon as they moved out and we cleaned it up, someone signed the lease right away. So we only had 1 month of vacancy, and that was unique. Typically, I don't have that issue.
It goes back to your point about cosmetics. People walk in and they're like, "These people are slobs. I can't see myself living here."
Exactly. They couldn't get over it, and it was really dirty, and so that was the one problem. But overall, the rental market's really strong. So I would say don't be fearful. And if you're an investor looking to buy that single family home or duplex or anything here in Grand Rapids, don't be afraid of those apartments right now. I still see a lot of strength and a lot of demand for nice rentals. So keep on chugging ahead, because you're going to be in for some good cash flow down the road. But I did want to give you a few updates on some things I'm doing. First thing was, I want to challenge the listeners. If you're out there and you're having a hard time like me trying to find potential deals on the MLS or running through Zillow or these third-party websites, and you have a portfolio of properties, look inside your own portfolio for potential growth of your cash flow. And what I mean by that would be, do you have the opportunity to spend a little money on your own property and add another bedroom or another bathroom or remodel a kitchen that could possibly make you more money? Because I had a home on the northwest side. It was a really good rental. It was a 4-bedroom. And last winter, I do some walkthroughs of these homes periodically throughout the year. And last winter, I walked through it, and I went through there purposely with my contractor. And we came up with a plan to add another bedroom to the home. So we had a big, it was a very large but dated bathroom upstairs in this property. And it was big with a closet. So we decided to turn that into a bathroom. And then we had a really large living/dining room, just this big expansive space that went into a kitchen. And so we decided to put the bathroom located down on the main floor. And so overall, the projections are it's going to cost me about $15,000. The final quotes and numbers are all still kind of trickling in, but we were able to add $425 more a month by adding that one bedroom.
Wow.
So nothing changes on my mortgage payment. Nothing changes on my taxes. And essentially that's $5,100 more a year in cash flow.
3-year payback.
And yeah, for around $15,000, that's a 3-year payback, 33% return. So if the market's this way and you own property, look inside your own properties and be creative. What can you do to get a good return with what you already own? So just some advice out there for you to think about of, what opportunity is there for me?
Yeah. Hey, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've been sitting on the sidelines for 2 years. Multifamily apartments here in West Michigan or Grand Rapids are just, I think they're too expensive, and I can't justify the cost. But what I have been doing is asset management, which is looking at the properties I do own and saying, what can I do? Where can I invest my time or money or resources into improving the income that I'm getting already from these properties? And I've done the same thing. I've looked at, we put in new carpet in the hallways, painting the doors, things like that. Everything on some of my larger properties, negotiating an agreement with Comcast.
Oh, nice.
To provide internet services.
Yeah.
Just whatever I can think of to just really tweak the income and the cash flow from the existing properties.
Yeah, that's key. I mean, that's be more efficient with what you already have. Spend a little bit of time and look in there. Next thing on the horizon for me is I have a couple properties that have dated kitchens, and because of that, my demand and my prices are a little lower than what I could get for that size of home. And that will probably be my next project going forward. Is I could probably put a little bit more money into those and get a nicer kitchen, possibly nicer bathrooms, and get a higher rent price. So look inside your own portfolio. That's really something that I just encourage you to do if you have some properties already.
Yeah. Now you were looking at a deal, a land deal where you were gonna do some development, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah. What happened with that?
Oh man. So I bought. Well, I was going to buy, which is thank God I didn't buy. I was going to buy a vacant property, piece of land on the west side of Grand Rapids. And so I was doing my due diligence and I got my survey and I found out, well, with zoning, this would meet the requirement to build a duplex on it. So I went through and got some sketches done for a duplex. And before I submitted that to zoning, it's kind of, it's a good idea to always talk to the neighborhood. And so what I went through is I posted a bunch of flyers up and down the street and let them know we're going to have a community meeting to talk about this duplex that I'm proposing. And to not my surprise, I met with all these people. All these people showed up, which sometimes isn't a good sign. And they were not on board with my duplex at all. And I sat there and, they weren't really happy about it. But in that time, they also let me know that the reason the person who lived there before tore their house down was because in 1964, one night, the corner of the home fell into a sinkhole. So literally a sinkhole. It was like 12 to 15 feet deep, 20 to 25 feet wide, and it just swallowed up the whole corner of the home that was there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So these people, I'm reading these stories. They had, these neighbors were older and they had newspaper clippings and pictures and everything. And I'm reading these stories. Had proof. They were ready, man.
Just saying that.
No, they weren't trying to scare me off. At first I was kind of being skeptical.
Yeah. A sinkhole.
I know. I'm like, oh, we're not in California. What are you doing? I've never dealt with that. And so I'm seeing all this stuff, and it really was. The whole home fell into it. The property got condemned. It had to be knocked down that next day. They were worried about the hole growing bigger and possibly going into the neighbors' homes and stuff.
If I was the neighbors, I'd be concerned about that.
Yeah. So that was really alarming to me. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out what I can, what can I research and what's my due diligence here. So I did a lot of research, a lot of reading. I talked to some people that do like those soil boring samples and, what do you think? What do you think would be the cause of this? And essentially in the end, they told me not to build there because they felt like
there was like an environmental company.
Yes. Yep. They told me
environmental engineers.
Yep. Exactly. So they were like geologists and environmentalists, and they know all. They had a really good grasp on soil conditions or rock conditions that would lead to this type of issue, and their reasoning was that they felt that there was a gypsum vein underneath that property. And as gypsum gets wet, which the Grand River's right next to it, so it'd be wetter farther down there. As gypsum gets real wet, it erodes, and if there's pressure on it, it just collapses. And so they were like, we don't recommend you build there. And I was like, you know what? They had no timetable on, could it be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever, but I don't want to build a home on something.
Matter.
Man, you don't want someone to get hurt in your property. So, I was just like, it's not worth the risk. I know a lot of people are being risky right now with the market, and there's just not much opportunity. But for me, I can't justify even 20 years, 30 years down the road, something happening, and I knew better. So I backed out of that deal, and it was just like, wow, that was a first as an investor. I've run across a lot of problems, but never literally a sinkhole.
I imagine you put a lot of time and effort and money probably into getting to that point.
I did. But, sometimes the best deal is the deal you don't do.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. So Joshua, if someone wants to get a hold of you, whether they're looking to sell or buy or just want some additional information from you, what's the best way to do that?
I would say give me a call on my office line, and that's 616-216-2000. Or you can find my contact information on my website, which is joshuaschaub.com or theiconrealtygroup.com. Either one of those has all my contact information on it. So you can reach out to me there, and there's a little spot where you can write a message and send it over, or my email address is on there as well.
I want to thank you for being on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me again.
It's great to have you back. Always a great time to sit down and talk with you. And I also want to thank you for being a sponsor of this show as well.
Well, thank you. No, I think I really believe in what you guys are doing here, and I think it's going to be a great relationship because I enjoy, as a listener, listening to your podcast every Monday. So I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, on behalf of the RPOA and myself, I thank you, and thanks again for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian. Thanks again.
This episode was sponsored by Green Property Management, managing everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area. Find out more at greenpropertymgt.com.
You've been listening to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owner Association. You can find out more at rpoaonline.org. If you enjoyed this podcast, please go to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and review.